Every day, millions of people make the same mistake. They forget about safety. One wrong move, one moment of distraction, and work turns into tragedy. On this channel, we show how a single mistake changes everything. Enjoy watching. Inside a cleanroom facility, a worker in a chemical suit prepares to transfer a flammable liquid into a metal drum. A sudden spark from static electricity discharge ignites the liquid's vapors inside the container, causing a violent fireball to erupt. The worker is instantly engulfed in flames and thrown backward by the force of the explosion. This explosion was caused by two critical failures in handling flammable liquids. The primary failure was the lack of proper grounding and bonding between the dispensing equipment and the drum, which allowed a static charge to ignite the vapors. This highlights a fundamental neglect of procedures required to control static electricity, a well-known and potent ignition source. In a deep, crudely dug artisanal cobalt mine, numerous miners work in extremely hazardous conditions. Suddenly, and without warning, the unreinforced earthen wall of the pit fails. A massive landslide of rock and mud cascades down, instantly burying the workers at the bottom of the collapse. This horrific incident highlights two fatal failures of unregulated mining. The primary failure was excavating with sheer, vertical walls without any shoring, sloping, or ground support, making a collapse inevitable. This was compounded by a complete lack of safe work procedures, including hazard assessment, atmospheric testing, or an emergency rescue plan for the deadly confined space. In a factory, a worker makes a catastrophic decision to climb inside the frame of a large, running machine to perform a task. While he is inside, a component of the machine cycles, trapping and crushing him within the mechanism as a colleague looks on helplessly. This devastating accident was caused by two fundamental safety failures. The primary failure was the worker's conscious violation of procedure by entering the operational envelope of an energized machine. This points to a complete breakdown in lockout/tagout training and discipline. Secondly, the lack of an interlocked access gate or presence sensing device that would automatically shut down the machine upon entry represents a critical failure in engineering safeguards. On a mountain summit, a woman in hiking gear poses for a video on a large boulder at a cliff's edge. While adjusting her stance on the uneven surface, she loses her balance, slips, and falls backward off the rock, tumbling uncontrollably down the steep, rocky slope below. This tragic fall was caused by two primary failures. The first was a severe lapse in judgment, choosing to perform playful poses on an unstable surface in a highly precarious location. Secondly, despite wearing a safety harness, she was not secured to an anchor with a rope, rendering the equipment useless and offering no protection from the catastrophic fall. At a loading dock, a forklift operator lifts a tall and unstable pallet of goods. As the load begins to tip forward, the operator makes a fatal decision to jump out of the protective cage of the forklift to try and save the falling product. He is instantly caught and crushed as the entire pallet collapses on top of him. This tragic incident was caused by two profound failures. The first was the initial attempt to handle a poorly built and unstable load. More critically, the operator's decision to abandon the safety of the vehicle's cage to save falling materials represents a catastrophic failure in safety training, turning a minor material loss into a fatal accident. At a snowy industrial site, two workers stand at the rear of a tanker truck preparing to transfer a flammable liquid. Suddenly, a massive and violent explosion erupts from the transfer point, engulfing the workers and the truck in a devastating fireball and pressure wave. This catastrophic explosion was caused by the ignition of a large cloud of flammable vapor. The primary failure was likely a static electricity discharge due to improper grounding and bonding of the truck and tanks. This highlights a fatal disregard for the strict procedures required to eliminate all potential ignition sources during the transfer of highly volatile liquids. A woman is walking across a wide, multi-lane road outside a crosswalk. An approaching semi-truck driver is forced to brake hard and swerve violently to avoid hitting her. This sudden evasive maneuver causes the truck to jackknife and lose control, sliding across the road and crashing into an uninvolved motorcyclist on the other side. This tragic chain reaction was triggered by the pedestrian, creating a sudden hazard for the truck. The subsequent jackknife demonstrates the severe handling limitations of heavy vehicles in an emergency, highlighting how a driver's correct action to save one life can have catastrophic, unintended consequences for others when they are forced to react to unpredictable behavior. A massive mobile crane is positioned on soft, unstable ground at the edge of an embankment. The ground beneath the crane's wheels suddenly gives way, causing the multi-ton machine to slowly but unstoppably tip over and crash catastrophically down the slope as a worker scrambles to safety. This catastrophic collapse was caused by two primary failures. The most critical was the complete failure to assess the ground conditions and prepare a stable foundation for the crane before operation. This was likely compounded by the improper use of outriggers and support mats, which are essential for distributing the crane's immense weight. A crane truck, improperly positioned, extends its long boom out over a live traffic lane. An approaching bus, unable to stop in time, collides with the crane's boom with massive force. The impact violently rips the crane from its position, causing it to be thrown and destroyed by the bus. This catastrophic collision was caused by two profound failures. The primary failure was the crane operator extending the boom into an active roadway without proper traffic control or a permit, creating an unexpected and deadly obstruction. This highlights a complete disregard for the fundamental safety protocols required when operating heavy machinery near public roads. Inside a brightly lit auto workshop, a mechanic is performing maintenance while standing directly underneath a large box truck. The truck is raised high on a two-post lift and is visibly improperly balanced. Without warning, the front heavy vehicle's center of gravity shifts, causing it to suddenly pitch forward and fall from the lift, tragically crushing the worker who had no time to react. This fatal incident was caused by two primary failures. The first was lifting a long, heavy vehicle on an inappropriate lift without correctly supporting its center of gravity. More critically, the mechanic's decision to work directly under the unstable, suspended load without any secondary support, like jack stands, was a catastrophic and preventable error.